Let's be honest, you can't intuitively eat without tracking at least once in your life.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain what you mean by tracking, because I feel like when people say tracking, I think of measuring everything you eat, like every single gram and milliliter of everything you eat and drink. And I just feel like as a beginner, that's something I can't do. And also, I feel like I do intuitively eat because I eat when I'm hungry. And I feel like that's listening to your intuition. So what do you mean by everything you're saying? You're gonna have to explain.
All right, let's take this back a notch. I feel like just listen to your body is great advice, but it's nothing without the education on how to actually do that. So you need to be educated on what listening to your body actually is, because a lot of the time, like no offense, but I've worked with you and I know that there are days where you would skip breakfast and lunch up until like 4 p.m. And I'll come home and I'll be like, have you not eaten today? I'm starving. And you're like, oh, no. So like, I don't really trust that you listen to your body. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no education behind that.
But I don't get hungry until around that time.
But why is that?
I guess I'm well, it's usually because I'm busy, I guess. I'm usually doing something, so I don't even think to be hungry until then.
Yeah, so like essentially you're just distracted, which I feel like happens to a lot of people. And then, so when it comes down to eating, what happens when you finally do eat? Do you feel like super hungry and you go, oh shit, it's 4 o'clock, I haven't eaten, and then smash out a whole bunch of food? Or do you?
Yeah, that's a good point. I do get hungry and then I eat, but then I don't even eat that much in the end because I'm so hungry. I eat so much it feels like overwhelming in my stomach. So I do feel like I eat less than I would if I had a proper meal, like on those days that I do.
So you're almost like you're not digesting what you need to for your body, and you're probably dealing with a lot of issues that you might not know, like underlying health issues, because you're not eating. So that's where intuitive eating, I feel like, becomes an issue. Intuitive eating is a skill, right? So you basically need to learn how to walk before you can run. You listen to hunger signals, but did you know that your brain, emotions, and environment all impact your hunger signals? Like if you're busy, you won't really get that. So to rely on just the one thing doesn't really help you in that sense. And then vice versa, most of us eat on autopilot. Like we are distracted and we are busy, and a lot of the time we overeat as well as under eating because we're just running, we're go, go, go. And that's like our society these days. We live in chaos. It's like learning to drive. You know, first you get your logbook, you study it, and then you start driving and you're consciously looking for all the rules, you're following the lights, etc. And after that, it just becomes like a natural thing. And we just get in the car, we take the brake off and we drive.
Yeah.
Right? So when you track, that makes the invisible visible. And you can actually see on paper what is happening and, you know, the way that you're going about your day to day, whether it is intuitive or not. Once you've built that awareness, that is when you can finally start to intuitively eat. Does that make sense?
Do you think this is like a modern society problem? Because like I said, I eat when I'm hungry, but I have all these like modern distractions in my life. Because I do also understand intuitive eating back in the day was people who, you know, did physical exercise most of the day and then they got hungry and then they ate and then they slept when they were tired, when the sun went down and stuff. Where these days I feel like there's a lot of these modern things to do like work and just getting things done where that's the distraction. So do you think, does that make one sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that society definitely like has changed a lot. I think that we're a lot more distracted now. I think that we're, you know, over consuming and we just aren't processing. I don't even think we're in our own bodies. Like we're not even in tune in our own bodies anymore. And research actually does show that a lot of people are struggling with that. And it's not because they don't care. It's a lack of awareness. It's that we're way too busy to actually be in tune. Tracking, like any form of tracking, which we'll get into, is what encourages behavioral change. And then that's what leads to then having that intuition and self-awareness improves. And then that's how we get better. For example, for myself, I've been tracking for years, right? On and off, I track based on my needs. Like anything that I'm deficient in, I will track. For example, protein. I track calories, but it's not the only way that you can do it. But because I've tracked for so long, I now know, looking at my plate, whether it's a balanced plate or not. Like using the plate method, you know, for example, you're looking for a quarter of your plate in protein, quarter of your plate in carbs, and then half of your plate in veg. And so how I would look at that is like, do I have 2 colors of fruit and vegetables or 2 calories of fiber? And then do I have protein? Do I have carbs? And that is a really good way for me to do that. But the only reason that I knew how to do that was because I tracked it. I was able to actually see the percentages, the breakdown of my meal, and then use that with the education I have about the plate method. It's just like practice makes perfect. And that's how you can then change the way that you see what you're doing and be more intuitive in what you're eating.
I think I do understand what you're saying. Like, I understand the plate system and stuff, but I just can't help but feel like it's still like a lot of work. If you had to recommend something super simple, super easy, like the first step to take, what would that first simple step be to get into tracking?
Well, I think it depends on the type of person, but I'll give you a few options. So for you, I know that you're skipping meals, so you're under eating. So your version of tracking would be something like setting alarms. Setting an alarm for, 8 a.m., 12 p.m., which is 4 hours later, and then maybe 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. And setting an alarm, it just triggers to you. You're like, what is that alarm for? And you can name it, right? That is something super simple and easy. And then worry less about what you're eating and more that you're eating, like if you're eating food. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Second thing that I'd recommend is rating your hunger. So listening to your hunger signals. Write in your phone before and after you eat a rating of your hunger. Every day for a few days, that's all it takes. You're just going to write, okay, I feel 2 out of 10 hungry, or I feel 10 out of 10 hungry, etc. before and after. And then over time, you're going to be able to look at that data and go, oh shit, I actually keep eating when I'm starving. And is that the reason that I'm overeating? And then that's how you're going to know whether to back it down, because essentially your hunger levels shouldn't be super low and they shouldn't be super high.
Right. Where do you recommend, like a 5?
I would say about a 5, yeah. Yeah, I think 5 is good because you're not so hungry that you're letting yourself get to that starving point, but then you're also not full. You're not forcing yourself to eat, because that's going to be hard to digest, especially if you're stressed. So you should be able to match what you're feeling, which is, again, comes down to tracking your mood. And honestly, the last thing that you can do is eat without distractions.
Okay, like not watch Netflix while eating.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be forever.
Yeah.
But it does have to be while you're paying attention to what you're eating. For example, we've all done this, but a bowl of chips when you're out with friends. Yeah, let's get a bowl of chips. Or like, I've got chips with a Parma. I'll only have a few. But if that plate sits with me for the rest of the chat and we're just like chatting, every time I'm just like, oh, I'll have a chip. They'll be cold or whatever. And then by the end, I'll look down and I'll be like, wait, when I finished eating, I didn't even want all those chips. Where'd they go?
Yeah.
It's just because I'm not conscious, because we're distracted. So we're just eating.
Right.
So definitely having some meals where you just maybe sit down with your partner or your friend or whatever, sit down, take a breather, don't watch something, and just have a meal like at dinner. You're going to recognize and start to listen to those cues of like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
And then you put it away. 3 simple, achievable steps.
That's good, because I really thought tracking was just tracking your calories or something. So that's good.
Yeah, I think the internet tells you, oh, calories this, macros that, protein this. So I'm glad that we could do this, because now other people know that there is not only one form of tracking and you can actually achieve your goals. It's just going to take time and education. I think overall, tracking is not the enemy of intuitive eating. Lack of education is. So let's be honest, intuitive eating is a skill, but learning and education is how you get there.
Makes sense.
Hope that helps.
Thank you so much for listening to the Let's Be Honest podcast. If you love this episode, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe wherever you're listening.
I'm fucking dribbling because I'm so cold. So you can't intuitively eat without the fucking bird.
Yes.
This is so bad. The fucking bird got me, man.
I know. Was it going off when I was talking?
Yeah. At least a day in your life.
I just pause until the crow shuts up.
It doesn't want you to talk. Intuitively eat.
Oh, fucking hell.